prosperous Pakistan. Thank you for your kind attention. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I thank the President of the Islamic Development Bank for his announcement. I now request my co-chair, the UNDP Administrator, Mr. Steiner, to assume his role. The Prime Minister.
Brother Excellency, my brother President, Islamic Development Bank, thank you very much for your wonderful contribution towards our program to make our infrastructure resilient and strong. For this $4.2 billion worth announcement is very heartening and it's very encouraging. Thank you very much for this great support, and I assure you, myself and my government will leave no stone unturned to live up to your expectations and implement this plan in full speed and in letter and spirit. Shukran jazilan. Nana yani mustaideen ay waqt inshallah.
Prime Minister, and to my dear colleague also, Minister Zardari, let me quickly move on the list, but also to recognize that the announcement shows how many friends Pakistan has, and that list will continue to grow. And it is now my pleasure to invite Jochen Flassbart, State Secretary of Economic Cooperation and Development of the Federal Republic of Germany.
Thank you, co-chairs, UNDP Administrator Achim Steiner, Minister Bhutto Sadari, and also, of course, Prime Minister Sharif. At the outset, let me say how much Germany appreciates that you, Prime Minister, together with the UN Secretary General, launched this meeting. It's absolutely important, and I want to even more applaud the title you gave the conference, Climate Resilient Pakistan, and that is what it is all about. And also your recovery plan, which is the 4 Rs, is exactly what we love to support. Ladies and gentlemen, and again, dear Prime Minister, it was when I took office 1 year ago. My first visit was to your country. Germany and Pakistan, we share a cooperation that lasts for 60 years. And I was very impressed what I saw in your countries, the projects we are running there on health, on social security, and also on climate cooperation. And it was without saying that immediately after the flooding, we decided to help Pakistan. My minister, Svenja Schulze, had a phone call with Sherry Riemann, and on the spot we decided to provide the first millions to meet the first challenges of this monster disaster. During the last year, we provided 100 million euros to Pakistan, both from my ministry as well as from the Foreign Office. We concentrated on cash transfer to the most vulnerable because they were the ones most affected. The emergency relief equipment. We started to support your first rebuilding of infrastructure, and we gave support to the assistance packages from the World Food Programme, UNICEF, and WHO. In addition to the technical support given by GIZ, that is with a huge portfolio in your country. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Germany definitely is ready to do more. And we will provide at least another 84 million euros in the course of this year. We will have governmental negotiations in May. And we will link this support to the climate resilient support scheme of Pakistan. We want to go beyond that. We have a running portfolio of 800 million euros in Pakistan. And together with your government, we want to check whatever we can do to mainstream this running portfolio for our RF. As President Macron said, Germany also wants to make the IFIs, international finance institutions, more instrumental for the supporting not only your country but also other countries to cope with climate change. Germany started together with others, a reform process at the World Bank to focus more on global public goods. And as others said, we are also supporting the Bridgetown initiative to leverage climate finance. Coming to the end, colleagues, let me put the situation in Pakistan in a context of the global climate risk and loss and damage, the issue we discussed in Sharm el-Sheikh and made a serious decision about it. Germany launched last year the Global Climate Risk Shield, and that together with the V20, and Pakistan was pioneering on that. Sometimes I was asked, what is this Global Climate Risk Shield about? And let me put it in a nutshell. We want that this kind of conferences need not to happen in the future. We don't want to have situations where we have in hectic come together to try to find the dollars and the euros to support affected countries, but we want to have pre-cooked finance for the vulnerable countries. Having said that, Prime Minister, co-chairs, dear friends, I wish this conference all the best, and I will assure you we will be there whenever there is a need to help.
Thank you very much to Jochen Flassbart. And let me now invite my dear colleague Martin Reiser in his capacity not only as the colleagues that helped Pakistan with preparing the PDNA, but now in his capacity as Regional Vice President of the World Bank and a key investor in this 4RF framework. Martin.
Thank you, Achim. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Sharif, Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bhutto Zardari, distinguished participants, in the name of the World Bank Group, I would like to thank the government of Pakistan and the United Nations for convening us today at this critical time for the people of Pakistan, and to the government of Switzerland for hosting us. I spoke in the previous session, so I can be brief here. We've come here to collectively find solutions to support the Pakistani people to rebuild their lives after this disaster, and to support the government of Pakistan to implement its resilient recovery and reconstruction framework. As we meet here today, hundreds of thousands of people are still living in makeshift shelters. This recovery will need a collective, persistent, and coordinated effort, which will require all of us to think differently. A disaster of this magnitude cannot be addressed through business-as-usual approaches, and I think the interventions of the government of Pakistan at this conference today demonstrate that you are looking at this as a strategic reset. I would like to commend your leadership, Prime Minister, and the leadership of all of your ministers in this effort. But this conference also comes at a time when countries around the world, including Pakistan's partners, are themselves facing the impacts of global economic challenges. At the same time, the increasing frequency of natural and human-made crises are testing the ability of the international community to respond. The World Bank has worked closely with the government of Pakistan, both at the federal and provincial levels. For the immediate relief, US dollars 357 million were repurposed from the existing portfolio, supporting cash transfers, the procurement of tents and emergency needs, as well as small, urgent rehabilitation works. Another 258 million were mobilized from existing projects for the reconstruction, totaling 615 million of repurposed funds. On December 19th, 2022, 5 projects with a total value of US $1.7 billion were approved by the World Bank Board. From this amount, about 1.3 billion will directly contribute to supporting the recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction processes. These operations, some prepared under emergency procedures, are aligned with the priorities and principles outlined in the government 4RF reconstruction framework. Finally, subject to preparation, readiness, and authorizing environment, we expect our remaining pipeline for the year to include projects in Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Punjab that will bring additional resources to support the reconstruction across all affected districts of the country. Altogether, the World Bank's contribution to the reconstruction should add up to at least $2 billion, not including what was already allocated for the immediate relief phase. This represents around 12% of the PDNA's estimated needs of about $16.3 billion. We will work closely with the federal and provincial authorities to ensure that resources are spent efficiently so they reach those that have been hit the hardest, including through supporting systems to enhance transparency, accountability, and the analytical capabilities to assess the targeting of resources and their efficient use. We welcome the efforts of other international partners who have taken similar steps to come forward with support for both the ongoing humanitarian crisis as well as the reconstruction program. We also welcome the government of Pakistan and United Nations joint initiative to bring us together in an international partner support group for reconstruction. The World Bank intends to be an active member of this group. Distinguished participants, colleagues, the needs are large, the task at hand is complex, but we are committed to raise the level of our engagement to the ambition defined by the 4RF Roadmap for Recovery. In coordination with development partners, we're committed to supporting the federal and provincial governments to help the millions who continue to suffer from these catastrophic floods and build back better towards a climate-resilient Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Martin Reiser and the commitments by the World Bank, another significant step towards getting the 4RF on the road, so to speak. It's now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Ambassador Luo Zhouyi, the Chairman of China International Development Cooperation Agency. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Chairman. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Prime Minister Bilawal Bhutto, and of course UNDP Administrator Mr. Stenner, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It's really an honor for me to participate in today's conference. I thank the UN and the Pakistani government for co-hosting today's meeting. Facing the current difficult situation caused by super floods in Pakistan, UNSG and his colleagues, administrator from UNDP, have played a very active role in mobilizing the international community to help Pakistan. Solidarity and cooperation from this movement for the UN family members are of crucial importance at this moment. We appreciate Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who has shown his strong leadership and great encouragement to lead the Pakistani government and people for combating disasters, overcoming difficulties, rebuild their homeland. We are happy to see that remarkable progress has been achieved in disaster relief and reconstruction by joint efforts from Pakistani side and international community. We also recognize that considering the super floods damage, it does take a long way to reach the 4RF. The Chinese government and people are sharing same sentiments and standing firmly with the Pakistani people. In the wake of the flood, Chinese leaders sent the messages of condolence, expressed the solidarity and support. We have provided a lot of emergency material assistance, including tents and food, which were urgently needed by disaster area people. They were transferred by land, air, and sea immediately. We sent a medical expert team and a disaster evaluation team. During Prime Minister's official trip to China, in early November last year, cooperation in reconstruction was one of the major topics between President Xi Jinping and His Excellency Prime Minister. Just 4 days ago, China's Premier Li Keqiang made a phone conversation with Your Excellency Prime Minister Shehbaz. Friends, I would like to share my vision as follows. First, on behalf of the Chinese government, I'm happy to grant another 100 million US bucks for reconstruction programs through bilateral channels to support the 4RF. We have already provided nearly 200 million US dollars for flood relief and reconstruction, ranking top among the donors. We have also carried out projects including smart geology, rehabilitation, housing, and mobile medical vehicles. Secondly, regarding the technical assistance, from 2023 to 2025, we plan to train 1,000 technical staff and officials focusing on disaster prevention and management. We will continue to provide real-time weather and disaster early warning service. We have provided a post-disaster assessment report after Chinese experts visit to disaster sites in Pakistan. We'll be happy to share our experience in reconstruction and engage with Pakistani officials in this regard. We are also considering setting up a South Asia disaster relief supply service reserve. Thirdly, we are willing to join the international partners support group. If necessary, we will be happy to host the relevant group meeting. Firstly, we urge the international community and UN members to continue to join hands with Pakistani. President Xi Jinping proposed the Global Development Initiative, GDI, in 2021. The GDI aims at synergizing with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. To implement the GDI, we established the Global Development and South-South Cooperation Fund, also for 4 billion US bucks. We have cooperated with the relevant UN agencies to use this fund for Pakistan reconstruction. Recent days, we just passed through procedures 2 projects in Balochistan. We welcome more project application from UN agencies and the Pakistani side. The super floods in Pakistan is driven by extreme climate. China has announced the targets of achieving carbon peaking before 2030 and carbon neutrality before 2060. As the host country, China has made our own contribution to the outcomes of the COP15. The international community, especially developed countries, have special obligation to help Pakistan to overcome the flood disaster caused by extreme climate. Developed countries have not yet to deliver on their promise of mobilizing 100 billion US bucks per year for climate action in developing countries, and to offer a roadmap for doubling adaptation finance. Global climate governance remains an up task. Friends, last but not least, we really wish the Pakistani people rebuild their beautiful homeland and reach the ambitions for RF at early date. I wish the conference a success. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Ambassador Liu for the announcement on behalf of the People's Republic of China. And it is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Mr. Andrew Mitchell, Minister of State in the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. Minister, welcome. Sorry, the button.
loud enough without. Prime Minister, I was saying that it's very good to be back representing the UK as the British Development Minister, and I see many old friends here today. The friendship between the United Kingdom and Pakistan is strong, and it is deeply cherished and respected. It is a bond based on shared history and cemented by the relationships between our communities and governments. This will continue to give us strength as we face challenges together, including the terrible effects of climate change. I visited Pakistan following the 2010 floods, just after becoming Britain's development minister, and I saw their devastating impact on some of the world's most vulnerable people. I have never forgotten that experience and went straight to the General Assembly in New York from Islamabad to try and raise extra support. We in Britain stood by you then, as we do now. And as the floodwaters rose again last year, the United Kingdom was one of the first countries to respond with urgent aid, including clean water and health care for more than 17,000 households. We will continue to stand by you, Prime Minister, as you recover and rebuild from this unprecedented disaster. The UK has committed £26.5 million to reach up to 1.4 million people with life-saving assistance. On top of that, we have redirected significant sums towards education and healthcare needs in response to the flooding and supporting more effective planning and response by key government departments. This will help support 20,000 students to return to school and 170,000 people to access health service. And the British people throughout the whole of our country have demonstrated their generosity and compassion, raising voluntarily £40 million for the Disasters Emergency Committee appeal, with the government matching £5 million of this with additional taxpayers' funds. I have seen firsthand the fundraising efforts across the UK and the British Pakistani diaspora have been particularly generous, as I've seen as a Member of Parliament in the Birmingham area, where the Pakistani community is so well represented and makes such a significant contribution to our national life. Looking to the future, it is crucial to build defences against weather-related disasters, as our changing climate puts us more and more at risk. And this is why the UK will help Pakistan to build back stronger, with more resilient infrastructure and an economy that can withstand shocks, with communities well prepared for the impacts of climate change and with the climate finance necessary to support these efforts. I want to commend the government of Pakistan on its resilient recovery, rehabilitation and reconstruction framework. The UK will work with you to implement it. This help will include technical assistance at provincial and district level to support key government departments in disaster planning, relief coordination and assessing damage and reconstruction needs. We will also focus on helping to unlock further climate finance following the £55 million pledge we made at COP26, which is supporting climate resilience and adaptation programming in Pakistan, as well as technical assistance for economic reform and disaster management. Economically, this is a challenging time for Pakistan, and I want to encourage the government to stick with its programme of macroeconomic reform and to swiftly conclude the 9th review of the IMF programme. This is vital, not only to create the fiscal room for the government's own contribution to reconstruction, but to help ensure confidence amongst partners and investors around the world. Making it easy for all of us to help Pakistan will be that much easier if Pakistani taxpayers are seen to be playing a core part in this effort. This conference provides an important opportunity for the international community to come together, as we have today, to forge a new partnership with the government of Pakistan to build its climate resilience.
The United Kingdom will be delighted to join the new International Partners Support Group to improve the coordination and transparency of all our efforts to achieve the outcomes in the 4RF and ensure that the major international efforts underway, for example the Bridgetown Initiative, are brought to bear to help Pakistan at this incredibly difficult time. Thank you.
I thank the State Minister of the United Kingdom and have the pleasure to now invite His Excellency. Sorry?
I will just leave because I have another point.
Yes, no, Prime Minister, you are honoring us by even being here, and we will welcome you back later. Thank you. So, Prime Minister is just excusing himself for a bilateral meeting. It is my pleasure to now invite His Excellency Mr. Akimoto Masatoshi, Parliamentary Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan.
It is despairing to know that more than one-third of the over 1,700 people who lost their lives were children who represented part of the blossoming generation supporting the future of Pakistan. All who have worked hard to make this conference happen at the government of Pakistan, the United Nations, and in agencies are due the utmost respect. It is despairing to know that more than one-third of the over 1,700 people who lost their lives are children who represented part of the blossoming generation supporting the future of Pakistan. All who have worked hard to make this conference happen at the government of Pakistan, the United Nations international agencies are due the utmost respect. As part of the combined effort, the Japanese government intends to closely collaborate with Pakistan and the international community so that the victims of this disaster can return to their normal life as soon as possible. Chairman, since the awareness of the devastating floods, Japan extended assistance to Pakistan with the best intentions from the perspective of human security to help the people in Pakistan respond and strive to recover as timely as possible. As a first overture, Japan donated 700 tents and 330 rolls of tarp as part of emergency relief package by the Japanese International Cooperation Agency. Further, an emergency grant of $7 million was provided along with food, shelter, non-food items such as mats and blankets, while assisting in the areas of public health, water and sanitation through affiliated international agencies. Next, Japan provided approximately $1.5 of government funding through Japanese NGOs and helped the victims of the flood access water, sanitation, food and sustenance. Added assistance took place during the coordination stage, providing needs as part of the post-disaster needs assessment. Japan International Cooperation Agency experts on river management and disaster mitigation participated and shared Japan's knowledge and experience on the subject. Japan deployed and provided assistance by combining financial, material and human resources during the emergency phase and continues to do so. Chairman, as a committed member and friend of the Asian region, Japan intends to continue to help with the recovery and further development of Pakistan while working to support those of Pakistan who have suffered as a result of the destruction caused by the disastrous flood. Providing Japan's domestic procedures are cleared as our country's specific measures require, I express Japan's intention to provide additional assistance of about $77 million during the recovery stage through 2023 and beyond on the basis of Pakistan's importance and priorities set by the PDNA. The assistance will include but not be limited to the considered essential areas needed for Pakistan's recovery, including disaster mitigation, public health, medicine and agriculture. Under the motto Build Back Better, Japan is implementing the Technical Assistance Project to help Pakistan update its national disaster mitigation plan by providing meteorological radar facilities and support the revision and renewal of Pakistan disaster management plan as needed. Following the devastating flooding and the PDN assessment, Japan adapted the capability for implementing beneficial projects for effective management of Pakistan's river embankments. This assistance provides transfer of technical know-how for risk analysis for diagnosing the risk of embankment collapse as part of Pakistan's river management program. This will enable Pakistan to strengthen its river embankments management program and contribute to reducing damage if future floods were to occur. Japan plans to continue to offer support in cooperation with the people of Pakistan for the prevention of future disasters. In reference to the subject of public health, which includes maternity well-being, Japan will continue its long history of assisting Pakistan with improving the lives of the people of Pakistan. Assisting with the public health covers not only the essential infrastructure, such as health facilities, but also the ongoing fight to eliminate the infectious disease polio, while providing the capacity for Pakistan to build a strong network of professionals. Japan intends to offer field-oriented actions to promote public health in the disaster-stricken areas and help with water provision and sanitation, which are essential for public health. Looking to the future, Japan believes it is important to give support to Pakistan's agriculture industry, which is significant to the country's well-being and one with which many people are engaged. Japan has similarly been extending assistance to agricultural product development and related topics such as irrigation and animal husbandry. Japan plans to support early implementation of projects such as agriculture advisors against climate change and resilience and livelihood improvement of small-sized farmers in the Sindh province, providing experts and cooperating with international agencies for the recovery of Pakistan's agriculture, livestock and sector.
environment development from a mid and long-term perspective. ありがとうございました。Thank you. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Before I invite the next speaker, I just want to note that we have more than 30 more speakers, and we would like to accommodate all speakers, but in order to do so, I would request that speakers be kind enough to deliver as concise remarks as possible. I would now like to invite Her Excellency, the Deputy Administrator of USAID.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the UN for convening us here today, and thank you, Foreign Minister Zardari, and to all of our partners who have joined here today in support of the Pakistani people. This morning's sessions have provided a stark reminder of the lasting impacts of the 2022 floods. When the flooding began, the United States government jumped into action to support the Pakistani people. In early September, we deployed a disaster response team to quickly provide humanitarian assistance, partnering with the U.S. military to establish an air bridge that delivered nearly 630 metric tons of critical relief supplies to the hardest hit areas. We provided support to flood-affected Afghan refugees and Pakistani host community members, and the American people generously donated tens of millions of dollars for the relief effort. During relief operations, several senior U.S. officials and members of Congress traveled to flood-affected areas. Administrator Samantha Power and members of our team oversaw the U.S. response from Sindh province, where they witnessed the flood's impact on Pakistani communities firsthand. Administrator Power's message then, and my message today, is simply this. The United States stands with the people of Pakistan and remains committed to helping the country recover from this devastating flood. We know that the needs of flood-affected communities go beyond the one-time provision of emergency assistance. The United States continues to work